If you got a problem.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm here.
Step out for a minute, get the motion, get
They
white
say it,
flag.
but it's like,
We
we
don't have to
see.
go away, I'm sorry. We were counting noses.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the city council meeting for June the 8th. Coffee City Council. If y'all would please rise for the invocation. I'm sorry we do not have our flags available for the Pledge of the Allegiance, but we do want to give an invocation. Phil, would you?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Dear Lord, please bless this gathering of these people that are doing the city's work. Work with us, help us be strong in our efforts, help us get through this coronavirus. The world is in a bad place right now. We don't need any more arcs. So please, Lord, bless us, bless this facility and these people. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Phil. Roll call, please, Doug.
Councilman Castleberry.
Here.
Councilman Weaver.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rutledge.
Here.
Mayor Wright.
Here.
Councilman Standiford is absent.
Absent.
Councilman McDaniels. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Doug. Okay, I'd like to go ahead and make a few opening remarks. First of all, welcome to the June 2020 City of Coffee City Council meeting. We apologize for any inconvenience due to the restrictions relating to the COVID-19 virus. The city projects that we will be able to return to normal operations by July the 1st. Possibility of there still being some restrictions, but just bear with us and we will let you know as we move forward. The first item on the agenda is consider an act on the consent items. Due to, there are a couple errors in this, due to the meeting being scheduled, canceled, and rescheduled at the EDC, we initially thought we were only going to be approving minutes of the city council meeting for May and the check register for the month of May. But it says consider and act upon consent items 7 and 8. It should read 7, 8, and 9. Does the council have any objection to making that correction and proceeding?
None for me.
Pardon?
None for me. That's what we need to do.
Don?
I was the one who had the objection on the approval of EDC meetings tabled in April 2020, and it was also brought up at the EDC meeting about that again. And at the time, I was wanting, there were some questions on that, and I was requesting that Mr. Beverly have a chance to explain anything there was, and without going on with a lot of detail. I was even more concerned after the last EDC meeting. So I'd like to ask our president. of the
Don,
EDC.
Don, can I make one injection
Yeah,
before
go
you
ahead.
ask? That is the second correction on consent item 9. It says to approve the EDC minutes for April 2020. And again, due to the confusion regarding the actual meeting taking place, we will be approving April and May 2020 EDC minutes. So if nobody has a problem with continuing. Don?
Well, if Jen doesn't want to make a comment, I'm gonna leave it alone. Jim?
We have I believe you have the minutes of both.
Yes, they're all,
The April and the May.
yes, they're in the
We have
packets.
the minutes of the May minutes, the May meeting. So, does the council have any questions about
do not.
I didn't either.
Okay, second part of that, are you at this time addressing the financial report from the EDC that was given at the, May and the June meeting?
No, the only thing we're approving is the EDC minutes.
Okay, let's go on a minute, okay. If there are any questions on those, I'll be happy to address those.
Okay. Again, I apologize for the inconvenience for the consent items and the confusion. So does anybody have an objection to go ahead and consider an act on approving 7, 8, and 9?
I would make a motion that we approve the consent items 7, 8, and 9.
Okay, Edward seconded, Phil made the motion to approve, Edward seconded, all in favor? Motion carried. Dawn, did you?
I'm going to abstain at this moment.
Okay, Dawn is abstaining. Okay, number 10, item number 10 is open forum. Again, we are restricting, we didn't restrict public attendance this time. For open forum, we don't have anybody signed up, so we'll move on. Item number 11 is the mayor's report. So I wanted to give the council an update on COVID-19. Henderson County has not publicized any further increases in COVID-19 cases for the last 2 to 3 weeks and did not renew their disaster proclamation at the commissioners' meeting June the 2nd. During this meeting, later on in the agenda, we'll have an opportunity to either extend or let elapse the Coffee City disaster proclamation. There also in your packet represented is corrected numbers for the quarter 3 of the 2019-2020 budget review. I understand from Phil that there are still a few more corrections that need to be made. Phil?
For the 2021.
Oh, 2021, I'm sorry. Okay, 2021. Would you like to expound on that or just want to get with me and make the corrections?
Yeah, I'll just get with you. There's only a couple of them. There's not a couple $100 votes, so we're not at the item.
Okay. Moving on to the other updates. Doug and I, City Secretary and I met with and secured a new auditor for the city. There have been many changes. He elaborated on those changes on how city audits are conducted now. They do require an additional level of attention, really based on policies and procedures, how business is conducted, etc. His pricing is going to be more expensive than what we initially thought. However, with that increase, he does provide ongoing support throughout the year. It's not a one and done. He will be accessible to us to provide guidance and training. We have requested a letter of intent, which I have in the packet for anybody who, I have at my disposal for anybody who wants to review that. The audit he projects will be scheduled July, August 2020. That is when he thinks he can come and be on site to perform the audit. I also took the liberty of speaking with the EDC board at their Friday meeting, June the 5th, regarding their role in the city's audit, as well as providing some recommendations for improving EDC's accounting processes and policies and procedure development for overall management. As the new auditor gives us guidance, we will be happy to pass that along to the EDC. We did determine at some time, and Cindy, if you want to correct me, but there's no obligation for the EDC to have its own separate independent audit. Okay, so their participation in the city's audit is as a cursory review of the finances. So that concludes my mayor's report. So Doug, if you will be, are there any questions? None? No questions? So Doug, if you'll be so kind to give us your report.
Mayor, council, I've only got a couple of things. First of all, the runoff election for Henderson County will be on July 14th. It will be held here. The runoff, the only one, I know there's others, but the only one I know of for sure is Mark Richardson and Kelly Harris, that's it. Besides that, within the next few weeks, we will be getting with the Elections Commission and getting ready for our November elections. Look forward to having a order of election on the next council agenda. And that's all I have. I take that back. I do have one more thing. In our meeting with the accountant, the CPA, of all the dealings I've had with CPAs, bookkeepers, and accountants in the past, I had the best feeling with this one. He was more open. He was not stodgy like a lot of them are, and very knowledgeable in small city workings and inner workings.
Thank you, Doug. Next on the agenda is the EDC report. Who is available to give that report?
First, as I said the other day at the EDC meeting, I apologize for some lack of knowledge and a little bit of misdirection on attempting to hold an EDC meeting without having, pardon me, a physical meeting. Several things have been pointed out that say you can't do it. You can't do it. If you do it electronically, it has to be open mic, public. Treat that as a 1-800 telephone call or a Skype or Zoom type meeting. So we don't have the resources to do that. I attempted to have an EDC meeting without having to get people together. Didn't work. I won't try it again. Okay. We'll try it again. So we actually had a physical meeting last week. We had a physical meeting last week. We did, the primary objectives were to physically, personally review minutes and our financial standing, to provide to the city council. Okay, we have done that. We now have that information in front of you. If need be, tonight, the city secretary, the EDC secretary can refresh anything that needs to be refreshed on that. The primary movements of the EDC the last several months have all revolved around the Lake Palisades Business Center. Any growth, sales, changes, whatever, to the Lake Palisades Business Center in the past several months have been shot down by the virus. And we're trying to regroup with this, trying to come up with a new plan on that. At this time, we still have two entities leasing call it, within the center. We got the, we call it the bread and butter, we got the H&R Block at one end, we got the thorn in the heel, in the middle there, and unit two. I have talked with them this week. They tell me that they are not strictly a resident evil. That they're working toward developing a business, but it's been slowed by the virus restrictions on business, etc. In fact, the person that was living there is only living there part-time now. So we're making some progress in that area. So we still have approximately $1,400 a month in coming there. Does the council have any questions for me at this time? Yes, sir.
The Lake Palestine Resort,
What did you say?
okay, yeah, that's right above you. Lake Palestine Resort is having fishing tournaments.
Yes, sir.
And they promised that they would provide the council with a list of those tournaments, how many boats was each one,
Yes, sir.
and we've not, or I personally have not seen one piece of information.
We do have two of those in. We do have two of those. And so far, the ones that we have are the only ones that qualify. Okay, for example, the last weekend, Larry requested, money for two. And when they got there, when the tournaments actually got there, they did not qualify. So at this time, that money is being held. Okay?
I'll just get a copy from her when it's done, I'd like to see it. Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
How many tournaments have we done that's qualified?
Okay, we've done three that qualify. We've done three that qualify. We've given funds, $300, and we've given funds for five. Larry is still holding funds for two because they didn't qualify. What happens on these tournaments, and you know a little bit about this. The tournament director calls up and says, we're coming, we're bringing X number of boats and we'll be there. And then the forecast for a north wind comes in. And half the
If
boats.
they don't get the money up front, they're not gonna show up if they're not getting the weather out what they want.
That's exactly right. So we're trying to say that the money will be there, y'all come. It's out of, and we've actually, not really, but he's actually scheduled probably 8 of them. And only 3 have qualified so far. Same thing. I got 15 boats, I'll be there. We'll rent 10 rooms for you and we'll rent 2 rooms hotel. And it doesn't take place.
Okay.
Because of weather. We're trying.
Okay. Jim, I have
Yes,
one
ma'am.
question. The money that Larry is holding for the other two, in what form is he holding that money?
Holding that money in cash. Now, which brings up a point. If the tournament is going to show up on Saturday, okay, it's going to be difficult if they show up and they do qualify. How Saturday morning are we going to get the cash to them? Okay? We've left it in cash form before, but I'm open to suggestions. My problem is, he gets a call on Wednesday or Tuesday, he says, I'm bringing a tournament, and he says, I'll back you up. When do we go get the cash and have it available?
You should be able to get a list of who's going to show up before the tournament.
And then if they don't,
Then if they don't, you don't give him the money.
when do I don't give him the money? Do I don't give him the money 6 o'clock Saturday morning?
No, you don't give him the money at all if they don't show up.
Okay, so.
If they show up at 6 o'clock Saturday morning, yes, give him the money.
Do I hold the money?
Well, that's something we gotta
And
talk about.
that's- and
The
that's-
auditor's gonna get to have
Yes,
hell with
yeah.
that.
Holding the money myself, making the check out for myself so I can zip over to the bank and cash it is also problematic.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're gonna get a 1099.
Yes.
You're not gonna like that.
Can I interject something?
Yes, sir.
I had an idea. You write the thing in a check, right?
I'm sorry, you what?
You write it out as a check, right?
No, they actually have been giving cash.
Okay, so
And that-
why can't the EDC write a check for the amount with no name on the check? If they don't show up, don't fill it out, save it for the next tournament.
You can't give out a check with no name on it.
I understand that, but if they're gonna be there for the event, then it would be the same as what Sandy used to do with the fire department, police department fishing events, where she would be there, she would write the check for
Right.
whoever the winner was.
Right.
Okay.
And that's what every tournament I've ever done, the way it was done. They wrote the check on site to whoever won, directly. It didn't go to the tournament director, it didn't do anything. It went straight to whoever won, first, second, third, big fish, whatever it was. But I don't know how reasonable that is to expect these folks to do that for every tournament he set up.
We did have information, and Doug, I had forgot about this, when we had approached this subject with the auditor, and he said that one way to eliminate that was to eliminate what we're going through, is to make a donation, period, end of story, whatever amount. I would take it, whatever amount is decided upon. And then that donation is not subject to, is that right, Doug? Am I saying that right?
You're right, but it's also not subject to any checks and balances as to
Where he's been.
where the
Where he
money's spent.
spends it,
And
yes,
that's,
yeah,
that's the problem that we had before.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so-and-so has a fishing tournament, we take $4,000, doesn't matter, we take a pot of money, and we give it over to the resort, we all spend it,
Yeah.
and we don't have any oversight.
The other option,
We'll have to just
I
face
wasn't,
all that
yeah,
again down the
I
road.
wasn't quite finished. The other option was to present it to the person winning the tournament, and at which time you had to have a W-9 and, was it a 1099 form or what?
Just a W-9.
Just a W-9, to show the clarity of how the money was transferred from entity to entity to
The other
person.
way is you can mail them a check after the fact.
Yeah.
I've had that happen.
Yes, can I recognize Chris?
Can we just reimburse, can Larry just pay it on Saturday and the EDC reimburse them? Then there's no problem, nobody's gotta be there Saturday, nobody's nothing, he gives you the form, he writes a check or gives them cash, gives them a bill, it's done. And I also got a deal, somebody said online they can't hear Jim.
I can't hear Jim, okay. That is a valid suggestion, and that was my take on it from the get-go, was that if it's Larry's tournament that he is putting on, that if he is paying that we reimburse him for whatever as an reimbursement process. I don't know how anybody else feels about that.
Well, depends on how he does it.
Yeah,
Is he notifying the people that win at Coffee City, or is actually the one donating part of the money, or is he taking all the credit?
And in fact, I have made a rather large banner that gets hung up over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
When an event does qualify, it says exactly what you're saying. The EDC has contributed to your prize money here.
Thank you.
okay, thank you,
Answer
Jim.
my question.
Okay, yes, sir. Again, I would appreciate any suggestions along this line. It seems to be one of the only, and again, I'll blame this Corona baloney. It seems to be one of the few draws that we're having. Even if the events don't qualify, it seems to be one of the only draws that we've been having this spring to get people here.
Yeah, because all of our revenues are gonna be down.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I know somebody said the other day when we were talking about budget, that the liquor sales were way up. Well, that's according to the state report that I read over the weekend. Liquor stores are over 75% down in the state of Texas
Yahweh.
since this thing has started.
I think the council.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Jim.
Jordan, but I don't know when the tournaments are, but if we could get a list of when they are, it might be one of us could plan to do it.
If I can address that briefly, that's one of the problems. As we emerge from this Corona baloney, as we emerge, some of the bass clubs are saying, hey, it looks like it's clear now. Let's do that one that we postponed back in March. And all of a sudden on Wednesday, they get a phone call over there and said, hey, we're coming up with 12 boats.
Yeah.
They think they're coming up with 12 boats.
Yeah.
They're not, but they're trying, okay?
Yeah.
The net result is whether we just skip the tournament prize money for a minute, the Lake Palestine Resort, which contributes through the hotel occupancy tax, and the Lake Palestine Motel, which contribute through the hotel occupancy, have been booked. And they've been booked for about 6 weeks now. And it's people, I don't know if you've seen,
There's tons of people on the lake fishing.
Yeah.
I see more full families in the boat.
and if you go down to the dam or over to the swimming area or whatever, there are people coming out now.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're
okay.
getting, and it's outdoors.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Moving on, it's time, item number 14 for the municipal court report. Judge, if you want to come up here, we can get, or Chris can move that for you, playing musical microphones. Thank you. And I'm real excited about what the judge is fixing to tell us. Real excited.
We'll start with
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna start with the, okay, so for the month of May, we had 181 new cases filed. There were 36 that were dismissed after defensive driving, 20 were dismissed after completion of deferred, 2 after proof of financial responsibility. We're still not issuing warrants. I believe we're counting down the 60 days after the governor's order expired. We have to wait 60 days. So like I said last month, we're gonna have a lot. We had four cases that were, satisfied by jail credits. And then we had a total for fines, was $27,738. $11,184 were collected by GHS. Centron collected $3,885. We had a monthly transfer of $14,357. Centron, I believe, we had a meeting the other day, the mayor and the chief and myself. Centron is supposed to be coming down, I believe, June 29th.
That's correct.
So we're gonna sit down. I would like to discuss with him how the processes are working, if there's any improvements that we can make, if there's anything extra he needs from the court. A lot of things to discuss. Everything, it took a little while to get everything kind of up and running smoothly. I'm feeling really good about the numbers that he is clearing for each month. I included in your packet here just before the meeting, it's an accounts receivable, excuse me, aging summary. And it will show you from day 0 to over a year old in the cases. You can see we have 964,000 due. A lot of that is the warrants that are outstanding. So Centron collected one case that was 181 days to 1 year, $263. And then 9 cases that he cleared were all over a year old. One of them went back to 2014. That totaled $3,621 for the month of May. So we're on a roll. I think we've got a groove going, if you will. But we're gonna get together at the end of the month and see where we can improve, I think, amongst other things. I think that's all I have. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you. Frank, would you please give the police report as, as fire chief, make sure you have talking.
Mayor, Council, for the month of May 2020, we had 51 calls of service, 4 accidents, 1 alarm, 1 animal call, 1 assault, 1 civil matter, 5 disturbances, 2 DWIs, 8 reports, 4 misdemeanor arrests, 3 felony arrests, a total of 4 felony arrests out of the 3 subjects, 1 courtesy transport, 2 follow-ups, 9 information calls, 1 medical service, 2 motorist assist, 2 reckless drivers, 1 with a man with a gun, 1 fatality, 2 road hazards, 2 suspicious activities, 1 suspicious person, 2 suspicious vehicle, 1 terroristic threat, 10 vehicle impounds. I'll skip the warrant service here for a second. And then 1 welfare check, 1 open door. On the warrant service, we were able to serve 1 here, but we didn't get too far with it because the office was closed at the time. And as far as Centrons, we weren't able to add it on here. I was having trouble opening up his whatever he sent it on, so I wasn't able to get his results as far as how many he served and he attempted to serve. On the back page, we have 9 agency assist, 2 are fire, 2 information, 5 medical. And a correction on last month, I had said we had 3 full-times, but it was 2 full-times. We currently have 2 full-time officers, 1 part-time, 12 reserves. And they've done a total of 26 hours of education training. Culver City Police Department had a total of 259 traffic stops, 145 citations were issued, totaling 185 violations with 161 warnings. We also had an audit from DPS this morning. We successfully passed it. We were in compliance, just a couple things to work on, but nothing to say that it would get us in hot water, so. With Alicia's help, the new part-time girl we had, she was very helpful in helping me close out that audit, so good job, Alicia. Any questions for me?
Frank, I just want to commend your efforts. I was approached by a council member asking about the Coffee City presence. And I got to share with him some information regarding the transfer, what happens in the transfer when you do have somebody step down and then you have to pick up, you know, where that person was. And so would you like to elaborate on some of the work that you've been doing?
Whenever there's a change in the chief, or the next person has to go through everything that he left off. Jim left us in good hands as far as CGIS. We're still in compliance there. We're still trying to finish that up. There were some other ones that, unfortunately, he didn't give me the information or didn't pass it on, so I always had to go in the dark and try and figure out where we're at with that. But other than that, most of it is just basically going through all the inventory, and he had a different system. He took that with him, so I had to start all over because once he took over, it was all his. And so again, I just had to catch up. I think we're trying to get it all cleared up by end of May. We missed the mark. Then the surprise audit came up from DPS, so that kept us in the office for another day tomorrow, so we could just close up whatever they asked. And then hopefully we'll get back out on the streets come Wednesday. But other than that, everything's good in the PD. Yes, sir.
You might mention the ticket writers and the phones and the progress you made so far.
Oh, yes, we've also had problems with the AT&T phones that we had. We had to go back to Verizon. And again, some of the information from AT&T, I didn't have any, so I couldn't call and just ask for anything because I didn't have an account, I didn't have a rep, I didn't have nobody, so it took a little while, but we were able to get the phones in order. We talked to eForce. Yes, I know the bill was awfully high for whatever we did for the eForce, but we might be able to get some of that money back and be able to distribute it as far as our subscription, our yearly subscription. But we'll get a call from them. Well, I'm gonna call them tomorrow, and they told me as soon as I got the phones to give them a call. So see where that goes. And that could save us somewhere in the neighborhood up to, anyway, I think 5,800 to 6,800 from that 13,000 that we had spent.
Okay.
But,
And that's a reduction in the number of subscribers?
Yes, that would reduce the subscribers, yes, the users.
That's where the savings comes from, the reduction of the subscribers.
Any questions?
Yeah, the only other thing I'd like you to mention is the fact that when you went back to Verizon, the savings,
Well, I'm not sure how much we saved. You the one that had the bill.
well, the projections you gave me for going back and they're going under a system that's for first responders. And by going into that system, it comes in at $212 versus $285, which is what we were paying.
Okay.
So
That's a savings.
it don't sound like much, but you add it up over the month, that's a good chunk of change, folks.
Yeah.
And with that savings, we were also able to get a air card for the cars in case we ever get stuck out there to have to do a report or something like that. So that was even included in that savings. Any questions?
Thank you, Frank. Fire Chief, would you please give us the fire department report?
This will be the Evelyn Woods version. 27 calls for service. As y'all can tell, people are getting out, calls for service are going up.
Yes.
2
Yes.
building fires, 1 fire in a mobile home or camper, 10 medical calls, 1 grass fire. 6 good intent are canceled en route. 5 of those were canceled en route.
Oh, wow.
One of them was a fire behind the house, and anyway, 3 MVAs, 1 false alarm, 1 unlocked car, and 2 water rescues. The breakdown's on the back here. I think it even shows that canceling route is 5. This software, as excellent as it is, we still come up with things that are said other, and we gotta go back and, now, we'll just pick something arbitrarily, 143, which is a grass fire. That used to say other, but once we identify that's a grass fire, we can change that, and it won't come up as other again when we do that 143. So, apologize for being late. We had a heart attack going, we had a boat rescue going, and we had a hay tractor
Oh,
run into one of our first responders.
oh, no.
Well, I'll need insurance paperwork in the morning, Doug. Any other questions?
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. I want to say just thank you very much to each department who has been very instrumental in stepping up and accepting new challenges and doing some new and different things. The atmosphere is very progressive in City Hall, and I'm thankful for that. It makes things go much smoother, and I feel like we're accomplishing a lot of our goals that we have set forth. I apologize for my voice. Thank you for departments for your contribution to the city. Excellent. Moving on now to item 17, based on the information that I reported in my opening statement and in the mayor's report, the next item is to consider an act upon continuing or not continuing the Coffee City Declaration of Disaster Proclamation. Do we have, I would like to have a motion one way or the other. If
What,
we
you
can,
said the county has kept theirs on?
the county has let theirs lapse.
They let it expire on
Yeah.
the second commissioner report, 9 a.m.
I think we do what the county does.
Okay. All right, that would be my suggestion.
The motion?
Pardon? Can
I'll
we
make
have a
I'll
motion?
make a motion that we let the emergency proclamation
Lapse.
lapse.
No, I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor of letting the Coffee City Emergency Disaster Proclamation lapse? Motion carried. Number 18, we've had a few bumps when it's come to budget, getting the budget ready, not for any other reason except for my own inability to necessarily schedule and call the meeting, but we have made headway. Our departments have gone the extra mile when it comes to working their budgets up and giving me the information necessary. So I'd like for the council at this time to set a date for June 2020 to review and accept the budget. This will be a special called meeting so we can go ahead and get the budget approved. Doug and I are trying to make headway into getting the budget approved, getting it put into QuickBooks to where the council can have a definitive report. Each department can have a definitive report regarding where they stand with what has been given to them in their budget, what their expenses are, and where they stand with that.
And that'll be every month.
Every month. We will do that.
I would, how about the 18th of June, it's a Thursday.
Chris, did you have something to say?
Let's blame COVID.
Yes.
I've probably got $30,000 worth of stuff that's due in, and everybody keeps telling me, well, COVID shut down, the assembly plant shut down, people shut down. Now, I know the county, it normally, I've seen them go as far as a year before they throw that money back in the general fund or whatever. I was just gonna ask y'all what y'all's policy is gonna be on that.
For the extension? of
Right.
your prior year budget.
Right.
Can I speak to that?
Yes,
Okay. As it sits right now, due to COVID and other things, we're going to continue forward into next year's budget as is. But the stuff that is lingering and has already been ordered, if you can get me a list of it, we will set it aside and do a journal entry into this year's budget once that stuff has come in. In
Right.
other words, you're not gonna lose it if you just
Yep.
get me a list.
Right, you already have a list.
So we set up a payable to the
yeah.
fire department.
That was gonna be my other deal, and I had actually talked to,
Yeah.
What's his name?
Doug.
Doug.
I'm sorry, it is hot out there, people.
Yeah.
We have some things like that, available fund balance, that's something we could probably transfer. But I really didn't want to transfer at this time because sometimes, I order, 5 sets of gloves and they're $70 a piece. Well, they come in at $65. Then I gotta justify, well, why did I, well, on the other hand, they come in, well, they're $85 because of COVID, I just wanna make sure I'll have 3 or 4 months before y'all throwing money back into the general fund.
You have two.
It ain't gonna work. Then we need to transfer all those past due budgets to the fire department. Give me the police department budget
We
too.
will address that during our next budget meeting.
Yes, yeah. All right. good.
All right, I just wanna let you know, it's ordered, we're just waiting.
Thank you, Drew, thank you. Okay, we have a date of June the 18th for a special called meeting for the review and acceptance of the fiscal year 2021 budget. Does anybody else have any suggestion, any other date?
What time?
2, 1, whatever y'all wanna do.
Whatever time works, I'm available.
Makes no difference to me, I'm just asking.
2? Edward? 2? 2 o'clock? Okay, so we have set a date for the special called council meeting to review and accept the budget for fiscal year 2021. It will be held on June 18th at 2 p.m. Are there any other questions from the council or our attendees? May I have a motion to adjourn if all business is completed? Okay, Edward has made a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Don Weaver has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.